as I think you are. We had such a great interaction on scheduling a week ago and this past week on adult Bible fellowships. I hope that you remember that adult Bible fellowships is simply one of multiple ministry models. Before one should ever begin to think about adopting a adult Bible fellowship ministry model, you need to consider very important things. For instance, uh, the church history. What are you doing right now? What kind of upheaval would that cause? What is your facility? Some of you mentioned the fact that you had absolutely no room to do something like this. Well, that really answers your question, doesn't it? Unless you have $1 million in your back pocket and you're going to go out and build a new building tomorrow. Those are crucial things. Uh, I think that as you look at that, you also have to say, do we have enough leaders, shall we say, the sense of what the ABF book talks about is 5 couples to lead each one of these groups. Somebody who's really good at being a teacher, somebody who's really good at being a class president, or whatever you would call them, somebody who's really good at praying and caring, or the 2 positions, somebody who is really good at doing parties, and then underneath those 4 or 5 couples, or if it's a singles group, singles, then to have another 3 or 4 couples or singles who will support them. So let's just say, all told, we have 2 couples helping the lead couple or lead single. So 3 couples, 6 couples, 9 couples, 12 couples, 15 couples. Or as he says in his book, somewhere around page 30, that adult Bible fellowship should grow to be about 80 or 90. From the information you provided me at the beginning of the semester, that's all of your people. So some of those things have to be thought through very carefully. And if there's a strong small group ministry going, why abandon what is doing well and achieving your ministry goals just because you read a book or you went to a conference? Now, what you do need to do is this. You need to pick up and hey, that's an idea. Now, I can't do it like it's designed in this book, but I think if I tweaked it, I could make it work really well in our church. Praise God. That's the important thing. So as you think about this, remember, Sunday schools began for children back in England in the 1780s. Adult Bible fellowships began somewhere around 40, 50 years ago. And there's a lot of diversity in their setup and organization. And even as I mentioned in some of our discussion boards, there are many churches who call their traditional Sunday school an adult Bible fellowship, which in reality all it is a new name for the existing adult Bible fellowship. So there are a lot of things in that whole process that I think that you need to think through. I jotted down a number of thoughts. The other part that I would like to challenge you to think, and it's part of all of life. Now, some of you get very frustrated with older people who think this is the way that we need to do it. But if we're not careful, we get locked into a method and we forget the ministry purpose. Now, the people who love organ music did not begin by saying, we want to make something that future people will hate. No, they began with a pure motive, let's give them that benefit of the doubt, that they wanted to make worship beautiful to the Lord. Now, if we get so locked in on playing an organ for it to be appropriate worship music, then we're locked in on the method. But if we lock in on the truth of good music to worship God, then we have freedom to use different methods. And that's one of my concerns as I've read your interactions, that if you're not careful, you get locked into a method that 25, 30, 40 years from now, you're still locked into a specific method rather than focusing on the goals and purposes of ministry. Overall, discussion boards are really good. I want to encourage you to think hard. Now, some of you have stuck your neck out and made some statements, and I appreciate that because that's how we think. We evaluate, we critique. And I will say it again, just because ABF is part 1 week of this class, actually you have 2 weeks to read the book, does not mean that I am endorsing adult Bible fellowships. I think there are a multiplicity of methods, and I need to find what is best for my congregation at this point in time and for these needs that exist to most effectively accomplish the Great Commission within my church and my community. So keep working on that. This week is a fun one, I think. Maybe it's not all fun, but you get to interview your pastor and ask him some great questions that will give you insights into how to be an effective leader. We also have a final exam. Some of you have noticed that, and I am still in the process of working on that. Eventually, you will be able to preview the exam, but right now I need to get some work done because there are some aspects of it that I'm not real happy with. And so I will keep you informed, and you have an awesome, Christ-honoring week.